problem with the roof of the shop. All right, roof shenanigans aside, we're back, and we're gonna continue this how long does it take to build 3 guitars adventure. And apologize for the hiatus. Weather got in the way, a little bit of life got in the way, but as I said, we're back. So before we get too started, we are going to drive over to Mark's and drop off the 3 necks so he can do his magic, and we'll calculate that into the process as well. So over to Mark.
Hey everybody, Mark here in my lair again. As you can see, it's a rather cold day. I think it's 57 degrees down here in the basement. These 3 necks are really beautiful pieces of some really fine hardwood, topped with these incredibly beautiful pieces of spalted tamarind. Spalted tamarind is an exotic hardwood. It's not as hard as, say, a maple or basswood or poplar or walnut, mahogany, ebony, like whatever hardwood you would typically put on a fretboard for a guitar. But it does make for a particularly very beautiful piece of wood for a fretboard. In this case, we're using wide-high fret wire. I start off by prepping the actual board itself. Now what this means is going through each one of these fret slots with a couple of tools. Namely this tool, which is a fret slot saw. This is a 23/100ths of an inch saw that goes both backwards and forwards. And I also use this tool, which is just a simple J-hook that I use to actually go through and clean out the fret slots themselves. Why are they dirty? That's because when we put the binding on these fretboards, there's inevitably going to be a little bit of glue squeeze in that gets into the fret slot, and that's just got to be pulled out before we can actually put the frets into the slots. So I'll basically go through and, using the bent fret wire, I'll hand measure the fret itself and use fret cutters to cut the frets. On the Great Guitar Build-Off guitar you may have seen our video on, that spalted tamarind piece that was for that fretboard was actually really, really hard, and those frets pressed in without any issues whatsoever. And I was able to get those in with just a friction fit, and they were super, super stable. With these though, these pieces of spalted tamarind are a little bit less stable. I've noticed they were a little bit on the softer side, so I elected to use CA glue to glue these frets in.
All right, the weather's back, at least for the moment, so I'm going to try to get these necks that Mark got all the frets on and start carving them up. Let's see how long this takes on 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, start. I'm just going to start filing, shall I? Okay, I am putting the last neck in for a little bit of thickness finessing, and this marks exactly 2 hours since I started shaping these from a rectangular hunk of wood into something that resembles a neck. Now, there was a problem that I ran into. And you can see one of these necks is starting to lose its teeth. So when I started this project to see how long it's going to take to build 3 guitars, I probably shouldn't have used weird ass wood. You know, the ash from the treehouse tree and the spalted tamarind. all gorgeous stuff, but man, it's got some problems. You know, some guy put a note in my Instagram page saying basically I was an idiot for using the spalted tamarind because it wasn't going to hold the frets. But it is exactly the same wood I used on the Phoenix, which was fine. Well, this batch is a little softer and it's not holding it as well, so we're going to have to come up with a solution, which means I think I'm going to have a second timeline on this. How long it takes to just make 3 guitars and how long it's taken to make these 3 guitars, because I'm having to make all sorts of adjustments because of the messed up wood. Birds. So anyway, I'm going to finish this up. This is going to take probably another 5 minutes. So yeah, we're going to say to shape the necks, 2 hours. Just for the sake of being vaguely educational, what I'm doing is I'm doing the facet method that we've all seen a million times. You know, you draw the center line like I did here, sidelines, you know, split the difference, facet, and just keep smoothing your facets. And when I first started doing this, I was wondering, how in the world do you keep it consistent? How do I know I'm not whatever, you know, kind of going at an angle like this way or this way? And it's real simple. You just look at the facet you're making. If the lines are straight, then so's your facet. So right now I'm just going to the depth I want. And then I'll smooth it out again. And voila, 3 necks with sort of a D profile, because that's kind of what I dig. D for dig. D for dough. You know what I find interesting? I'm a big music freak, of course. You know, I play these things as well as make them. Been in a bunch of bands. My trip into work or wherever I'm going almost always has something off the playlist, usually randomized, and I love all of it. But I had a friend ask lately, she asked, you ever have days or weeks where you don't feel like listening to anything? And I was like, no, that never happens. And then I really started thinking about it. It's like, actually, it happens quite a bit lately. Quick trip to the store, I won't bother plugging the phone in. Extreme example, my wife and I, when we took the guitar to Matt out in the Outer Banks from Cincinnati, so what is that, a 13-hour drive? Didn't listen to any music there or back for the whole trip. We listened a little bit maybe while we were there, but just we're talking, just listening to the sound of the road, just looking at the scenery. And I find that I'm doing that more and more often lately, like right now. I'd rather hear the sound of the file and the wind chimes in the wind and the wind in the trees, and we've got our young hawk is back and it's making noise every now and then, and I kind of dig it. This is fine. What is it? You know, nature and the sounds of working with your hands. Sometimes I guess is all we need, or at least all I need right now. So I don't know. You ever run into that? And as predicted, this part and this part is where this experiment is running into, oh gosh, this takes a second, doesn't it? You know, filing and sanding take as long as they do. There's really nothing I can do to speed that up if I want to do it by hand and do it right. So I guess fortunately for you, you don't have to see it. Unless I just keep talking. But then you're likely to fast forward to a less tedious part. because I know I've done the same thing in the past. There's still plenty to do, but the necks feel like necks, and they fit in the guitars quite nicely. So it'll be a finesse work on the necks, finish sanding and all that kind of stuff. And then I still have to sort out what I'm going to do about the bodies. I may have, finish-wise, and pardon the pun, painted myself into a corner wanting to put paint on these things because, as I said, the wood just keeps giving up little bits of itself. And you gotta ask yourself, for an experiment like this, how many times should you have to fill the grain? 8, 9, 36? I don't know. The right thing to do, of course, is to just keep doing it until it's perfect. But since this experiment was supposed to be kind of about how long does it take to build 3 guitars, and as I've probably already said multiple times in this video, I kind of wanted it to be about how long does it take when there's no major problems, and I don't know, maybe that's not what this is about. Maybe this is really just about how long does it take me to build 3 guitars in my own weird, let's use the most unsuitable wood I can get my hands on way. Not totally unsuitable, but you know what I'm saying. So see, looking pretty good, I think. I'm sure in different light I'll see all sorts of things I need to fix, but for the time being. So now that I've got it all set, I guess I have to take it back over to Mark's. So I will.
Okay, so minor problem here. This wood, as lovely as it is super, super soft for being a hardwood. And I realized I had to glue the frets in. So what I wound up doing was I wound up pulling the frets out of this particular neck, and I glued them in. And all was well until it made the trip back over to Kent's shop, wherein suddenly the fret up here, this 21st fret, decided that it was going to fall out. And indeed, it is very much out of the neck of the guitar. So what we're going to do today is we're going to take this fret. I'm going to discard this because the tangs have probably gotten a little bit crushed as it got put into wood, pulled out of wood. Let's make a new fret, and we'll glue this back in properly. This is the normal fretboard that I've used on that neck before. This is already kind of set up for a 10-inch radius, which is what we're going for. So I just get it in there and roll it back and forth a few times. That's going to get it real close. So I think that's real close to a 10-inch radius. But you know what? Let's check this against the famous Tunguska fret bending radius gauge, which is this line I've scribed on my bench. So as you can see, that's really, really close, just a little bit overbent, which is what we're going for with nickel steel frets, or nickel frets, which is what these are. So now, come over here to my toolbox of doom and grab a couple of very handy tools. Number one is the fret cutting tool, and I use it to cut lengths of fret, and I also use it to cut lengths off of the ends of the frets. And this tool, which is my famous tang nipper. I love to nip tang. Let's see what length we need to go here. Okay, so I usually go a little bit long. No problemo. There we go. One fresh fret. How much tang do I need to nip? Oh, that's really close. Nice. I'm not going to have to trim the end of that thread at all. I'm just going to have to pile it. I'll try to avoid getting this in anyone's tea. That's how we do things with that eye protection right here. Nice and snug. There we go. One beautiful fret with that tang nipped off on the ends to accommodate the binding. Get out my borrowed tool. As you can see, it really chipped out when I pulled the fret out and when it fell out. So I'm gonna load this up pretty good with glue. That's a lot of glue. Now, although that left some discoloration there, as that glue dries, it'll lighten up. All right, that's all there is to it.
All right, moment of truth. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. All right, I'm going to call it an episode. Thanks for being patient considering how long this is taking. It's going to go quicker now. I've got a lot of filling and grain filling and Bondo style wood filling and filling of the bodies, which actually at this point is already mostly recorded. I just have to assemble it. So, yeah, next one coming quick. We're at what? Just shy of 50 hours at this point, and I decided not to do the second timeline for how long it'll be taking considering the issues I'm having with the wood. This will just be part of the whole experiment. How long does it take to build a guitar? 3 that are the same, except they're different because of the wood. So, thank you as always. Hit that like button, subscribe button, bell bottoms. I grew up in the 70s. See you later.